Hey guys, so this is the second video, school related stuff, school tips and study tips that I thought I would share with you guys. These are kind of things that if I could go back in time and kind of slap myself and tell myself these things, I could, because I would come out with a lot higher grades. First 5 tips are basically college and general tips, and then the last 5 tips are study related tips. So the first tip is college is going to be scary. It's a new environment. It's very culture shock, I guess you would say, if you're a freshman and you're going straight into college right out of high school. I know I actually transferred into a university, so I went to 2 years. Do you have to chew on that? My first year on a university, I was a junior. And it was a huge shock to me just to kind of be around like all these different people, living with a roommate, things like that. There is a chance that you're not going to like your roommate. I know I didn't. She liked to go out at 11 p.m. at night and party, and she would come in really loud at 3 a.m. While I'm trying to sleep when I have an 8 o'clock class. So that'll probably happen. And if you have a chance to fix it, then fix it and change it and make it for the better. And if not, just tough it out. I know we had the chance to kind of switch roommates, and she wanted to switch and be with her friend upstairs. And I got her friend's roommate, which was a really good deal because we both like the same music. She was really quiet, as am I. We didn't really socialize a lot to each other. She was a really nice person. It was just nice to have a fellow introvert like myself in the dorm room. I think another hard part about college is that you have a new level of accountability. There is this sense of like having to kind of focus yourself and make yourself do things, because in high school for me, I had my mom on me. I had my mom telling me, you know, you need to wake up, you're going to be late for school, have you studied, have you done this, you know. I mean, not so much as a senior, but you know, your parents kind of stayed on you about stuff like that. In college, you have this sense of independence, and it's a thing of using it wisely. I know I took full advantage of not having parents because I was in my dorm staying up till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, you know, I did that at home anyway. Just use your newfound responsibility and your newfound independence very wisely. You have this independence, but push yourself to do well in school. Don't slack off. Which brings me to my second tip of college. Don't skip class. Like I said, I was one of those kids that I thought I could skip class and do well. There are some kids like that. They are the rare exception. I was not the exception. I didn't fail. It was one of those classes that you needed like a C to pass, and I made a D. By the way, D does not stand for diploma. I wish it did, but it doesn't. Just don't skip class because it makes it hard for you to kind of catch up. It makes it hard for you to study, especially if it's that kind of class that doesn't go by the textbook and they use like 5% of the textbook and the rest is lecture. It also can make it kind of hard to study with your friends, which brings me to my third tip, which is to branch out of your comfort zone and make new friends, whether it's through like a fraternity or sorority, whether it's through like any kind of social groups, things like that. I made some really good friends through a sorority, as well as going to a Christian Bible study group that was held like every Tuesday. Going to social groups like that is a good way to branch out. I know it's really hard to make friends like with people in your dorm hall, especially with the guy that's next door when he walks down the hallway naked in like his boxers, and all you can manage is like, hi. So I know it's kind of difficult to make friends. Social groups and sororities are really good ways to make friends. If you're unsure about a sorority, they have information nights that you can go to and kind of get information about the sorority. Meet the girls of the sorority, see if it's something you would really like. Small little tip for sororities, they usually have certain fees for joining, and membership fees, I guess you would kind of say. I know my sorority had them. If money is an issue, I'm sure they can set up little payments for you to kind of make payments throughout the year, so that way you can still be a member and not have to put out a huge chunk of money for membership fees. Fourth tip is making use of your resources, and this kind of means anything that is on campus for you to use that helps you kind of get through college. I know a lot of people studied in the library, and I didn't really understand it until I went to the library to study. It is such a quiet and peaceful place because of course, everybody else there is studying. Nobody is talking. I know for my library, they had 8 floors, I believe, and the first through 5th floors were like groups and talking was allowed. And then the 6th, 7th, and 8th floors were the quiet floors. So that's where you had to be quiet. If you wanted to study by yourself, you could. Also, any resources that your library has or any kind of things that they kind of do for the students to help you out, by all means take advantage of it. I know my library had little study cubbies that you could reserve at the beginning of the year, so they just put your name on it, and it's like a little boxed off cubby area with a little desk and a shelf that you could put your stuff on, and that's like your little cubby throughout the semester. And so I would go and use that to kind of study whenever I had the chance or whenever I had to cram and I needed a quiet time. My 5th tip is try to stay on campus as long as possible. I feel like this is probably a personal preference for a lot of people, but for me, I got married kind of like my last year of college, or right before my last year, and so I moved off campus to be in an apartment with my husband, and it still worked out. There was a bus route like right down the road that I could walk to, and it would take me to campus. But being off campus, you're less motivated to use those resources on campus. So when I was at my apartment, I was less motivated to go to the library to study. I was especially less motivated to go to class, especially when it was 28 degrees outside and I had to stand and wait for the bus like elementary school all over again. I was less motivated to just go out and go do my classes like I needed to. I wanted to just stay home in my apartment. So it made it harder for me to be motivated and go out and do what I needed to. So just try to stay on campus as long as possible and use what resources you have and take advantage of what the school gives you to help you further yourself along college. Now for study tips. These are tips that I found they work best for me. These are kind of through trial and error. I would try something, and if it didn't work for me, if it didn't help for me, then I would just kind of toss it and move on to the next one. First tip for studying is if you have a laptop and you're able to take it to your class to take notes, use it. I know they say that writing notes is better than typing them, but a lot of my classes, the teachers spoke too fast for me to take notes, like written notes. So I would have my laptop, and as I was listening to the teacher, I could type up what they were saying word for word. So it made it a lot easier for me to take notes. Once I typed those notes, I would print them out, and then I would use that to study by. And then I would just highlight it, whatever I needed to. If you prefer written notes, then by all means go ahead, but it was just easier for me to type notes, especially, like I said, when teachers talked really fast and I was unable to kind of catch what all they were saying. This brings me to my second tip, which is to use a tape recorder. I found that when I type my notes, I didn't catch everything sometimes, and so I would take a tape recorder, set it up in front of my desk, or if the teacher allowed it, to kind of set it up in front of their podium or where they were speaking, so that way it would catch everything they had to say. And as I typed my notes, the tape recorder would be going. When I got back to my dorm, I could go back and I would use the tape recorder basically to listen to the lecture again and go through my notes as it went by. So if there was something I missed or something I wanted to add, I would just hear it in the tape recorder and add it to my notes on my laptop. Buy a pack of the MultiColor Highlighters and use the different colors for different subjects or different topics. So for me, if it was a word I didn't understand, I would highlight it in one color. If it was a definition, I would highlight it in another color. If it was a name of a specific person that I needed to remember, I would highlight it in another color. And so as I would reread and take notes on what I just read, I would see the different color highlights, and I would understand, okay, this is the name of a person. I need to know maybe what they did, the dates when they did it, things like that. So it would just kind of help me sort through studying process a little bit faster and more efficient. My fourth tip is to take frequent breaks. I know a lot of people like to cram, and I was one of those people, and it made it so difficult and so frustrating to try and cram a whole chapter in a night. When you couldn't review the topics and everything that you read in that chapter, it just made it harder to review them. You would get burnt out easily, things like that. Start your reading early and take frequent breaks in between so that way you don't get burnt out. I would read or study for probably 20 to 30 minutes, and then I would watch a funny clip on YouTube, or I would go on Facebook for, 5 minutes or something and just kind of give myself a little bit of downtime. I sometimes like to step away from the study area to kind of clear my head of it. So maybe I would go to the kitchen, get a snack. I would take a walk, a little brisk walk outside for something, go check the mail or something, take the dogs out, just anything that could get me away from the study desk and away from the study environment helped. My fifth and final tip is to just study. I know I was one of those people that hey, if I went to class, if I took notes, and if I read the chapter, I'm good. When I started actually applying myself to study, I would read the chapter. After I read the chapter, I would go to the end of the book or into the chapter where they had the little test questions or essay questions, and I would test myself. And I know a lot of books have that, whether it's like math, biology, psychology, something like that. I would just try to test myself. Look at terms or definitions that you need to know and try to teach yourself. Explain it out loud like you're going to teach it to someone who doesn't know anything about it. Because I found myself, I would backtrack and I would have to go back and look. And there was a lot of things that I thought I knew that I actually didn't. So yeah guys, that was it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and comment below on what you would like to see next. Subscribe, send kisses, and glitter. I really like glitter, and cupcakes. I really like cupcakes. So yeah, that's all. I will see you all in the next one.